Welcome to the Jon Corbin Podcast. My name is Jon Corbin. This is a show of meaningful conversations where I sit down with artists, thinkers, and interesting people to tell stories on the themes of creativity, inspiration, community, and learning together. You can find out more about the podcast at my website, joncorbinmusic.com, and you can find me on social media. My Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram handles are at Jon Corbin Music. That's JONCORBIN. That's right, there is no H. Finally, we are Patreon supported. You can find out more at patreon.com/Jon Corbin. Your Patreon support is greatly appreciated. It not only allows the show to keep running, but allows it to reach for higher levels. If you want to provide monthly support, there are no tiers. You can just pay what you choose, and that gives you access to bonus material around the podcast, but also exclusive creative work like new songs, poems, essays, and a whole lot more. Welcome to the Jon Corbin Podcast. I am Jon Corbin. So thankful that you could join us as we are getting this podcast going. If you can like, share, favorite, and subscribe, please tell a friend or two about this conversation series. I think it's really going to be edifying for people. That's my hope. Today on the pod, we've got another pre-COVID conversation. So this is something I recorded before quarantine and the world shut down and has changed. But I think it's another valuable one for creatives, and I think you'll enjoy it. Mark Durksen, rapper, YouTuber, video editor, creative, and I definitely call him a lyricist. I think you're really going to enjoy some of the stories that he tells as we dig into what it's like on the come up, some of the frustrations that happen when you're making music in the process of being creative, and finding ways to connect when you feel out of place. To me, Mark is not out of place in my music collection. He gets heavy rotation. My kids love his music. I think they love it because he's honest and he's funny. And he's been doing good work for a while. And like I've said before with this pod, you know, and some folks you need to know. Mark is definitely someone you need to know. So jump in as we talk to Mark Durksen. It's the Jon Corbin Podcast. I'm Jon Corbin here with my special guest. Who are you?
Hello. My name is Mark Durksen.
Welcome, Mark. We're so glad to have you.
I'm glad to be here.
Okay, Mark, what do you do?
I do a lot of things. I am a husband. I have some jobs that I do, like 2 part-time jobs. And when I have time, I try to write, record, and perform some raps. That sums it up, yeah.
Mark, who do you keep close to you?
I mean, definitely my wife, first and foremost. And close. I have family out in St. Catharines, so they mean a lot to me, and I only visit them maybe like once every 2 months. It kind of works out to, and do some like video chatting a little bit in between. So I hold them close to my heart. I'm not close to them geographically very much. And I also have some friends that I hold close. Among them are you and Origin, 2 people I collaborate with musically pretty often.
Yeah.
That's right.
Mark, what inspires you?
So musically speaking, I think I'm inspired by like really good rapping and catchy melodies. I like cool electronic instrumentation, and even musically, and then also from a broader sense, I'm inspired by the gospel. I feel like that's the stereotypical Christian answer, but it's probably a good thing to be inspired by the gospel. Just like the idea that there's a God who loves me and takes initiative in drawing me close, in holding me close. To go back to the last question, and yeah, I also, you know what, something that inspired me that you said the other day was when we were talking about release dates and projects and what to work on. You had said, you know what, just like if you're just being consistent and working on music, the release dates for projects and what the projects are, that'll sort it themselves out. And I think I felt like a lot of freedom in just hearing that like, okay, I don't need to have like this sort of bigger, like broader plan in place, and be like tied down to these things. I can just work on music and release stuff when it comes. Yeah, that was a really fun thing you shared.
Oh, thank you. So I'm inspiring. That's great.
That's right. Yeah, that's what I said.
This would be a good vehicle for my podcast. I just have people on to tell me how I've inspired them.
Mm-hmm. That's
I
right.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Last question for our rapid fire bio.
Mm-hmm.
One word to describe yourself.
I picked creative. I didn't know what else. I feel like that applies. I like to create things. I always have. I like making stuff creative.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, you have the word to describe yourself. Now, I'm going to tell you what I say about you to other people.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I always discuss Mark as a very creative person.
Hey, okay. I got it right. Yes.
It's like the matching game.
Yeah, yeah.
What I dig about you is actually what I've seen from the jump is the work that you've done is always in authenticity. It's always born in authenticity, or it's always authentic, I guess is a cleaner way to say it.
Yeah.
You, to me, you always strike me as someone that is unafraid to be yourself, which has like a really silly element to it. But because of the authenticity, you don't mind being yourself. You don't mind being silly. You're just fun. And what I found is, over the years in knowing you and working with you, is that is very attractive to people. That level of fun and authenticity, it's disarming, so it gets people open. I've seen you rap for audiences that don't know a lot about hip hop, and it's really endearing, or they really latch on to it. And what amazes me about it is that lyrically, you are excellent.
Oh, thank you.
With your writing, wordplay, all the stuff that like hip hoppers look for, that, you know, if you're listening to this pod and you're not really a hip hopper, you know, as you're taking a listen to Mark's music, just listen for the complexities of the rhymes and the imagery, what he's putting together. It has always really struck me. And so that makes me a fan, like a true fan. And it's one of those things where I get defensive if you are, you know, wanted to dismiss Mark for the silliness or, you know, your lack of melanin, and miss the lyricism and the real complex way that you write. It's always impressed me. So it's a combination that very few people can pull off. And so when I talk about you behind your back, I'm often talking about how you're able to put a real true hip hop expression into a really fun package. And that's really neat to see. Man,
John, you just blessed me really hard right there. Yeah, I will receive that. Thank you for those words.
Yeah, man.
Super affirming.
You know, this pod is about people that inspire me, and also talking about inspiration. And so, so it's been a real treat to work with you as a part of Lost and Found Music since, oh boy. Well, I guess we'll get into that, but I've been a part of the label since 2016, first as a creative director and then as an artist. And I know that the story that you brought today talks about, you know, how you met a bunch of us. But before we get into that, I always ask my guests, because I rarely remember, how did we first meet?
Yeah. So we first met electronically through email. So I encountered you before you encountered me. I was looking for Shad features on YouTube, you know, as you do. Once you've listened to Shad's repertoire, you're like, okay, where else has he rapped on? Because I'm not done taking in this guy's bars.
I have done the same.
Yeah. so I found a Spit Hot Fire. So that I found Spit Hot Fire, the song, and that's your song, actually.
Yeah, from 2010.
It's still about community, and it's still about unity. Relationships, the foundation for this piece. So we're gonna break it down. I feel on the verge of revelation. Going to submerge, no hesitation. Take the plunge like ST. Let me find my own style. Refuse to go gently into the dying of the light. It's the dark night. Gotta fight for those who wanna get right. In the rain, snow, sleet, and hail. Go on a tirade like Christian Bale. Joker MCs trying to act.
Yeah, so I remember listening to it and being like, oh yeah, there's Shad. And like, wait, like I knew Braille. I was like, oh, Braille's on here. And like I I had listened to like a Direct project Direct was on there, yeah?
Yeah, he was.
Fire? Yeah. So I'm like, oh, who's these people? Who's Jon Corbin? Stuff like that. So then I was at a conference and I saw Ill-Seer, Cyril Garrett there. He did like a freestyle rap. And so I thought, whoa, there's this like other hip hopper. He was on Spit Hot Fire too, yeah?
That's right, yeah.
So I'm like, this is the guy. This is a guy from Spit Hot Fire. There's like a million rappers on that track. And so I went up to him afterward. Yeah, man. Talked to him. So we connected via email. And he said, hey, I'm going to get you in touch with this guy who's like the king of Christ hop connections in the area. And that is almost word for word what he said.
Yeah.
Definitely the word king was in there. So he connected us via email and we started chatting from there.
Yeah. So then my timing's going to be fuzzy because you recently sent me that email. I was looking for it. So that was from 2012.
That's right. Yeah.
So I had 2 kids then. And then in 2014, I went up to 5 kids.
Yeah. That's more than 100% increase.
Yes. Yes. It was violent, that shift.
Yeah.
So there's things pre-triplets that I don't remember.
Yeah.
But within that frame, 2012, 2013, someone from my church came to me in the fall. I remember because they said, "Have you ever heard of Mark Danger?"
Oh,
and
okay.
And I was again, you're gonna have to forgive the foggy memory. I either said yes or no. I can't remember.
One of the two.
But they told me that they had been at a camp that summer.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay.
Joy Bible Camp, would that be it?
No, it was. It's called Camp Crossroads.
Camp Crossroads. Okay,
yeah.
So they had been up there with their family or some of their family. That woman, they have more kids than we do, so we are friends, and they help us feel normal.
Yeah.
And she mentioned that she had seen this performance from a Mark Danger, and loved the vibe of it, and thought, oh, like you should connect with Jon Corbin. But I don't know if she told you that.
No,
but she came home and told me about this guy.
So you know what it was.
Okay.
So I was at the camp for the summer, and the week that they were there, I was like running the craft hut.
Okay.
And so I was, the hut full of crafts. People are drawing pictures and building birdhouses and stuff, and you gotta have a soundtrack, right? You gotta have music. So I had my iPod. This was back in the days of iPods, and I was just like spinning tunes off of the iPod, and I had some of your stuff on there. So, this one lady came up to me and was like, "Wait, you're playing Jon Corbin? Where do you know Jon Corbin from?" So I was like, "Oh, well, I don't know him personally, but he." I have some of his music. Yeah. So that was how we connected.
Okay.
Me and the other lady.
So she recognized the tunes.
She recognized the tunes, and then she said, "Yeah, his wife was my midwife." And I thought that was an interesting connection.
Yeah. She's delivered a couple of their kids, and. Yeah, that's okay. So you didn't perform. You were playing music.
You know what? I might have. I might have. It might have happened. But it was definitely connection made over your tunes. Yeah.
Okay, so before we get into your story, something that came up from your brief bio, you talked about St. Catharines, which is where you came up.
Yes.
But where are you living now? What are you doing now?
So I'm living in Toronto, Ontario, and what am I doing now? I am, you know what? I'm working some jobs, and I'm trying to make some music, and you know what? I don't. I'm not really sure what else to say. Yeah, I hang out with my wife. I have some friends. I've got a small group going on, It was like a Bible study, a small group of people studying the Bible study. If you don't know that lingo, and that's the bulk of what I do. So I'm in terms of where I work. I work at my church. I do like some different roles there. I work at a local nonprofit too, doing communications there, and that's about it.
Yeah. Okay. So, and what brought you to Toronto?
What brought me to Toronto? You know what? It was a feeling that God was calling me here. I was in St. Catharines, and I had already made a decision that, music is really important to me. It's more than just a hobby. I consider it to be a sort of ministry. And I thought, you know what, St. Catharines is like a great place to do this. But there was some point when I just couldn't shake the feeling that I was supposed to go to Toronto. So yeah, there are some situations. I wonder how many situations I can actually point back to and say, like, you know what, I really felt like the prompting of God in that time. And there are a few, but when I think back to my move to Toronto, it didn't come from any discontentment in St. Catharines. I had never felt a need to like get out of like a smaller type city and move to a larger type city. It was, kind of took me by surprise, but just kind of a intangible felt need to, that thought that this was where I was to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that for sure. This intuition, conviction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm having one of those right now in my life, but I haven't figured out what to do with it yet.
Right.
So I feel this urge.
Is this a good place to talk about it, or is that for
sure?
Offline? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's always interesting to see things in progress or to discuss things in progress. But yeah, California is just something that sparks in me pretty much every time I hear the word or cities within it.
California.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You go ahead.
It is sort of born from, I mean, even things that you might seem inconsequential, like as a 7-year-old, 7, 8, 9, deciding that I wanted to cheer for the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah.
My interest in sports as a young person, as a teenager, cheering for Californian teams, getting into hip hop and really gravitating to Californian underground music, from like the Tunnel Rats to LA Symphony to like Jurassic 5, the Visionaries, Beat Junkies, Soup the Chemist. It just, a lot of what I would, a lot of my musical home is sort of in that sort of underground scene. And then like some of the church stuff that's happening, there's some really neat churches that are exploring like community outreach and even, like spiritual gifts. Like if you're a person of faith, like the idea of prophecy and that kind of stuff. There's just some neat things happening. And I want to go, but it's always been like, I want to go and do all the things. Like I want to do sports. I want to visit some of these rappers that I've built relationships with. And I want to see these churches. And I honestly could tour the entire state.
Yeah.
Oh, and like San Diego is just like, even as a kid, like cheering for Tony Gwynn. But now, one of my favorite bands, Switchfoot, is based out of there. And Namas isn't too far away in Oceanside. And it just sounds like perfect weather. And for someone who has, seasonal affective disorder living in Canada, the winters are brutal. And it would just be nice to have some warm weather. And it's all instinctual, and I've only developed relationships with people further since then. So, putting that out there, not sure when it's happening. Obviously with 5 kids, I can't pack up for a month and tour the state.
Yeah.
But there's something there. And so I'm just trying to figure it out.
Oh, cool. When you at first, when you said California, I thought like, oh, does he mean he wants to move there? But it's as you talked about it sounds like maybe just a visit.
At least to start. There's
At
a
least
couple
to
of
start,
times
okay.
where my wife and I just talk about hopping a plane and just going on an adventure and seeing what happens.
Cool.
Maybe meeting somebody or, using the relationships we have there. It's not uncommon for people to have dreams just when you're, with 2 careers and businesses and kids. It's harder to move, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. Whoa, exciting stuff. Cool.
I don't hold anything, like I don't dismiss anything. I would say that.
Sure.
Well, this is talking about my dreams, which is great.
Yeah.
Thanks for the question.
I love it. Yeah.
All right, so we've talked about how we've met. So now we're going to move to your story. I asked the guests to come with a story about a place where we've collaborated, served, or worked together, and how that relates to the idea of creativity or inspiration or community or learning or all of the above. And so, Mark Durksen, your story for us is...
Sure. You know what? So this will be the first time we met in person, and you had invited me and like a bunch of other people you knew to collaborate on you called it the Runaway Bandcamp. So it was basically a writer's event where people you knew who were like into production or writing would get together, work on some songs, and see what came of it. So yeah, I was excited to be a part of this thing, to meet you, in person for the first time and meet some other people. So it took place over a weekend. Was it in Milton?
It was in Milton, yeah, at my house and at my church.
That's right. Yeah. So I remember it was the first time that I'd had a very short time span to write a verse in. I'm used to really taking my time to, sometimes a verse will come together over the course of a month, or I'll work on it for a while, put it down for a year and come back to it, just kind of like piece things together really slowly. I think that's how I typically tend to write, but this was like, okay, well, we got the beat and everyone's got to get a verse by the end of the evening. So I remember, trying to write the best thing that I could, and I was really happy with what turned out. So it was surprising that I was able to actually produce something that I was happy with in the time limit. And that was definitely an exciting time. So I think I learned that I can write within a time limit, but I wouldn't say that I've taken that knowledge and applied it to my craft moving forward. I think I typically tend to just go with, take it slow, take it easy. There's not a rush. Like you can just work on it until it's right and not have to rush with it. So I think that's something like creatively, like a cool creative experience that I had there at the Bandcamp. And then you had mentioned community too. I remember coming there for the first time and arriving and coming into the room and feeling a little out of place. So I come from St. Catharines, which maybe the demographics have changed since I left there a number of years ago, but I definitely grew up being the visible majority for pretty much any situation that I would be in, even like musically. All the rappers that I knew out there were white and worked with. So I think coming into a room and it's pretty much all black people, and then there's this one white guy who looks like he's, fits in and is like already knows people, talking and chatting with everyone. I felt like a little out of place. Like I would need to somehow prove myself that I belonged there as well.
And you're talking about Brett Clausen.
I am talking about Brett Clausen.
Yeah, that's the guy that you felt like fit in.
That is the guy. Yeah, cool.
And had you met any of the other artists there before?
No, I hadn't met anyone. So I believe everyone was new for me then. Yeah, so there wasn't like a relational point of connection there for me.
So in that room, we would say it's all sort of local or Ontario rappers.
Yeah.
Origin was there. Creo.
Scribe. Jeremy was there, who goes by Rodney.
Yeah, Jeremy Rodney Hall, now known as Rodney.
Yeah.
He
Jermaine
didn't
Wall.
perform. Yeah, Jermaine was there.
I think your brother was there.
That would be great. He's upstairs right now as we record this.
Oh, right on.
I don't remember. Maybe he was. Crisis was supposed to join us, but he was delayed that night. So we all wrote for the one song that night. Mm-hmm. And Crisis is also of the Caucasian persuasion.
Yes.
But someone I'd rapped with before. Mm-hmm. You know, I think that covers. And Ilseer also was on the song, but he didn't record until the next day as well. So
That's
it was
right.
just sort of this ball of young people with energy, and you were completely new to the group. I should also say with your creativity piece is that it's not just writing a verse. Like there are parameters on the song. Like you had to incorporate your name in there, and you had to end your verse with Spit Hot Fire.
Spit Hot Fire, yeah. Which is actually good. You know what? I feel like those limitations or those like that gives some nice structure to work with, rather than just being completely free.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's why actually, so this is a bit of an aside, but I find it a lot easier to write raps than something like free verse poetry. I feel like the grid of the beat is really helpful for me to coalesce ideas around, whereas I feel a lot more disoriented if I can just do whatever and say whatever. Yeah.
Have you been in any experiences like that since, where parameters have been imposed on you? We have to write like this?
So you know what? I sometimes do it myself when
that was my next question.
Yeah. You know, when I'll think, like I want this song to be about this, and this is what the song's about. So I gotta have something about this theme in like every bar or every other bar. And like sort of stick to a theme or topic for a song. Like, I think that sometimes helps.
Interesting. Okay, that edifies me, because I don't know if I've ever imposed on myself like that. But I am always looking for ways to sort of jumpstart my writing. So maybe that's something I'll try.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go for it, man.
Okay, back to your story.
Oh yeah, back to the story. Okay, yeah. So. Yeah, I mean, I'm in this room, and it seems like people, I mean, definitely people don't look like me. They talk very differently or slightly differently. And I even had, like, so I have a memory of I was in a worship band at some church service out in Niagara area. And there was like a group of migrant workers there who were all black. And they kind of took over after the service, they basically sort of took over the band and did their own set. And it was really fun. Like the music was really awesome, but they were trying to get me to play bass. So I was playing bass in the band, and they were trying to get me to play it in more of a reggae style. And I couldn't get it. So I ended up having to, I was basically asked to pass my bass along to someone else who could play properly. And so I was, dismissed from the band. So I definitely had this sense that, you know what, like, black music, I just don't fit in. Like I can kind of approximate it. But, even hip hop, like I can sort of do my thing, but, the black community, they're like the originators, and they're the cultural torch holders and gatekeepers. And I don't really measure up. So yeah, I think that's kind of how I felt coming into the group. And even I didn't even think I was going to be rapping. I thought I was just going to be playing keys on beats, but was even feeling like, you know, nervous about that, and how I would hope that I can do something to prove myself. But yeah, so I have that memory of walking into the room for the first time, full of strangers. And then I have this other memory sort of after, like over the course of that evening, when everyone was writing their verses, and then we're all in a room sharing them together. And I don't remember feeling uncomfortable or out of place. I just remember us like laughing and applauding each other's verses and talking about hip hop and having a really fun time. So I feel like through this like shared creative experience, at least on my end, there were some like walls and barriers that came down for me. I didn't really think too hard about it at the time, but thinking back on it, that was a really cool experience, community wise, for that reason. Wow.
I had no idea about any of that history.
Yeah, I don't think I told anyone about it. So there you hear it for the first time.
Yes. Podcast exclusive.
That's right.
It does sort of frame what Cyril was talking about to you in that email, not about me being the king, but more about the connection.
Yeah.
It's something that I had been thinking about for a while, for a number of years actually, is how to bring connection between these different artists. And when I got into the hip hop scene, I was trying to pay attention to hip hop holistically and not just worry about the Christian subset, because that was a real challenge for a lot of faith-based people, is to only sort of look at Christians or to talk about the Christian hip hop. And we exist. My philosophy was just, a Christian is a Christian in hip hop, not necessarily its own subgenre, but we have to do right by the culture, because the culture has a history and a mission that's necessary to uphold if you're going to represent the culture properly.
That's right, yeah.
So the people that came before me, they understood that, and they were known in sort of both circles.
Yeah.
And so that was something that I wanted to do. But I also recognized that as they got older, their connections weren't as strong. Their relational connections weren't as strong. And I had wondered, not in criticism of them, but what would it look like for the next generation if there was a mentor or somebody holding it down, trying to keep those connections and keep people, strong together. As I had a couple of kids and started to feel sort of my energy, and moving to Milton too, where there wasn't a lot of creative energy for someone that was into hip hop.
Yeah.
So you're looking at like 2010, my second child gigging. It's hard to make music. The music I am making is not being as well received because, I'm not great at promotion and all this stuff. And in the meantime, in 2011, I had started a group with Brett Clausen, then known as DJ Clutch, and Crisis, who were part of this Runaway Bandcamp. We were called the Custodians.
Oh yeah.
And that was started for me from a spiritual intuition of just like mentoring.
Yeah.
I wanted to mentor these people. What is a better way to do that than to work together, and people can watch us work. So I put that group together and we did some shows, and it was a lot of fun. So, just thinking about other and doing shows with the Custodians is where I met guys like Creo and Scribe and Origin, who I need to have on the pod as well, because he has
shout out
a
to
unique
Origin.
way that we've met. Yeah, shout out to Origin. Get us some more music, buddy.
Yeah, man. Waiting on it.
Yeah, maybe after he gets married.
Yeah, because he's got important things going on.
Yeah, it's true. So yeah, something that I've always tried to do is bring people together to work creatively. So that Bandcamp, in a sense, like it was going to be a last hurrah for me. We were writing some songs, and I had some different ideas for a project that I didn't wind up following through on, but we did make that song, which was really impressive to me.
Yeah.
But I had brought everyone together to kind of say that I'm pretty much done making music for myself because we're about to have triplets.
Yeah.
And so I dropped that news on everyone.
Yeah.
And I don't think they heard anything else I said after that. But it was really this idea of like, I'm here for y'all now.
Yeah.
And my memory in the Friday night when we got together, we ate at my place. We went over to the church. I gave a talk to the group about why we were here and what I wanted to do. I told them about the triplets, and I said, let's make some music. So there was the main room where we were meeting, and then on the second floor of the church, and then the room where we were recording was the nursery, which is so fitting considering
I
the
remember
number
that.
of babies we're about to have. So what people would do is they would write in the main room and then go into the nursery to record.
Yeah.
So when they'd come back, then they would tell people about their verse. Like then they would share their rhymes, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And so I was engineering and Brett was engineering. And so I wasn't really in that main room to hear people's reaction, but you could see the energy as each person would go back into the room. The energy would just get louder and louder. And like, Jeremy Rodney Hall was like one of the biggest ones for that.
That is my memory of the evening as well.
Right. So then you go in to the main room after you drop your verse, and I've never heard you spit before.
Right.
And so I watch you go in from the hallway into this room, and the door's closed.
Yeah.
And I can hear Jeremy screaming.
Yeah.
And he's like jumping up and down.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
And
right.
like Scribe is there like clapping, and like everyone is just like surrounding you with this approval of how dope your verse was.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely going to pipe it into the podcast here so people can hear it. But
let's do it.
That is when I heard like that moment is when I realized, okay, I've done something good here.
Yeah, cool. Oh, thanks, John. Yeah, you are relentlessly collaborative, and it is a blessing to me and the music community for sure. Yeah.
Word. All right, we're going to take a break and be back with my story on the Jon Corbin podcast.
Incandescent glass molten tungsten, hot as the desert on my lips and my tongue live God's love until my legs and my lungs give jumping and done spit flame like a bunsen. Aseptic, selected with tongs and triple tested. You bet this perfectionist drops nothing less than a bomb whenever the pressure is on. Cephalopod spray ink when I rap on a song and shine bright. Archangel, get my name right. Mark Danger, keep the reins tight on the leash. Y'all dog tired boxer cross Rottweiler when I spit hot fire.
We're back on the Jon Corbin podcast. I'm here with Mark Durksen, and
Hello.
Mark has told us his story, and I'm going to tell mine.
What you got for us?
Summer 2017. We are now label mates.
Yes.
I've got signed to Lost and Found the beginning of 2017, and I joined the crew with Rodney, who's sort of coming and going a bit, and then Origin and yourself.
Yeah.
Now, before getting into that story, the seeds or my understanding of Lost and Found, the record label, came from that Runaway Bandcamp in 2014. That Friday night, Jermaine pulled me aside and said, I'm thinking of starting a record label. Interestingly, that was the first time we were meeting.
Right.
Origin brought him.
Yeah. Okay.
And so that was a really neat thing to sort of break bread and to watch him work. And he's looking out into the group of rappers and artists, and he says, I'm thinking about starting a record label, and I want to sign Origin and I want to sign Jeremy. And I was like, great. Well, I know Origin a little bit. I don't know Jeremy, but whatever you need. And so I've always I've watched Lost and Found be birthed and evolved, and I've always marked it because it's the same age as my triplets.
Oh, okay.
Sort of born in the latter half of 2014, and and watched them make music, and went to shows where Origin and Jeremy performed. And then when did you join the label?
It was I want to say 2015.
Okay.
Like fall 2015. That's my guess.
Okay. Yeah. So you've been on the ride for a while as well.
Yes, that's right.
So we decide that we want to do a weekend of making music, and Jermaine and I are looking everywhere for an Airbnb that would sleep all of us I guess there's 6 of us if we include our engineer and producer Adam Pondang.
Yeah.
And we're just looking for enough space and, all the requirements that will house six guys.
Yeah.
And we are striking out. And so in desperation, I thought, well, maybe here in Milton, there might be some of my friends at Cottage that wouldn't mind if they're not around, that we could use their space and we could rent it. And, we're all nice guys and treat their house nicely and all that kind of stuff. And so I emailed 2 people and I got a response back from my friend Lori straight away.
Right.
Totally use my place.
Yeah.
My parents who live with me are at their cottage and I need to get away anyway. So I'm going to go for a canoe trip and you can use our place.
Man, shout out to Lori.
Yes.
Thank you so much. That was
so much good music came from that weekend. Stuff that has yet to be realized.
Yet to drop.
So everyone came out to Milton, which was great for me because, I still had the young kids and so I could come work with you during the day and then head home. So I'm checking in and out. You guys are staying over in Milton and having a great time and it's really a wonderful time of connection.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. There's a song that you wrote that has yet to be completed.
Yeah. You're talking about Chasing Clouds?
I'm talking about Chasing Clouds. Okay, so then you worked on this demo of a tune.
Yeah.
Called Chasing Clouds.
Yes.
And how you did it was get on the piano.
Right.
And sing at the same time.
Right.
And then do a rap verse while playing the piano.
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And there's no beat or anything. It is just like, here's the tune, here's the idea I have.
Yeah.
And it's just this solo piano piece with you singing and then a really interesting verse.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
So what is the song about?
Okay. So the song is about the idea of like chasing dreams. I feel like in society today we like to talk a lot about like dreams and like having big dreams and pursuing like life goals and stuff like that and idealizing that. And I think like I was just trying to process the question of like, well, like what happens when you feel like you don't have time for that, or you are wondering if you're like actually what you're dreaming for and striving for is good, or if you're doing that in the right way. So I think like trying to write a piece that is more like questioning and skeptical and processive about the idea of dream chasing rather than just go for it, you can do it, which I think is what we get a lot.
Once somebody says go for it, then there's actually the process of living it out, which can be very frustrating. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I was just trying to work through that in a song.
Do you remember when you wrote that tune?
I don't remember when I wrote it. It would have been short. It would have been not too long before that Bandcamp thing. Yeah.
So sort of in that year, you processing like you've moved to Toronto at this point, and what is this dream I'm chasing? What is this dream I'm following?
Yeah, I think so.
This is my advantage of working with you, but there's a series of tunes that you wrote sort of reflecting the artist's struggle and frustration that I think that you did really effectively. I think that I want to say that you write frustration well.
Okay, cool. That's good to know.
Yeah, I don't know if that's fair to say because I don't think that's totally you. I just think it's a layer of you that I wasn't expecting. Like when we had the iteration of Mark Danger and I've got time and I've got life and I can try and right. Shake your booty in the house. A song that just says that over and over again. Yeah. It's super fun. I think that you're in your growth. You've learned how to write frustration well.
Cool, man.
And I really hope that people get to hear some of these songs, including Chasing Clouds. Okay, so this song really impresses me, and it's hard to put my finger on.
Yeah.
But I remember being in that session and watching it happen, hearing you rap over the piano only, and we were trying to figure out what to do with it musically, and we have never figured out what to do with it musically.
Yeah, no, it's still a cloud that is being chased, as it were.
As it were. There were other songs that came from that music camp, and they've gone through various iterations as well as you've continued to sort of look through what your sound is. The song sat there for a while, and we weren't sure what to do with it. And then you've worked with a couple of different producers, and stuff just didn't work out.
That's right. Yeah,
that's fair to say. Yeah.
Yep. That's fair to say.
No shade on either of them. This stuff happens all the time. Even with me, I've made a run at it, and I'm not convinced that I've got it. I actually just love the piano version.
Maybe that's all it was meant to be.
But it's interesting watching a song evolve or sort of go through this journey, because there is some frustration in the tune. And I'm sure there's been some frustration trying to evolve the sound. Where does this sit with you right now?
It's been a long time. So that gathering that you were talking about, that was back in 2017. Yeah. So it's been a while that I've been trying to work on this song and get it right. And it is a little frustrating that it hasn't happened yet. I feel like, there'll be when it happens, it'll be the right time for it to. But in the meantime, I have this song that I've written, and I really do like it. But I would love for there to be some kind of production around it that just fits with it. And what part of it is it's written to have like actual singing parts. I think previously when I would do like in a lot of the songs that I write, like I'll maybe do a few like melodic stuff, but it's not anything like really hardcore singing, but which works for me because I don't feel very comfortable singing on stage. I like rapping. I feel very confident about rapping at this point in my life, but when it comes to like actually carrying a tune live on a microphone and my belief that it would be something compelling for other people or something worth listening to, like I don't really see that in myself musically. So maybe this song is just waiting for me to actually develop the vocal chops required to do it justice. So I'm taking singing lessons. I started that this year. Yeah.
Cool.
It's kind of low key. It's just once a month. I have like a 30-minute lesson with somebody that I know. We've been working on that. So I brought this song to her at this month's lesson, and so we worked through some of the issues in that song, and I'll keep going for it. It'd be great to be able to sing well. I sometimes like envy people who can do it well, or especially if it just seems to come naturally. But we'll work on it, see how it goes.
And I've always seen, I have friends that are professional musicians that also take music lessons. I always see that as working as an evolution. If one is unfamiliar with Mark's work, checking out the project, Even This Could Be Home, there's songs like Alone and, or even the Mark Danger stuff on Bandcamp, Time in Life. Like there's a range for you. There's a place for what you sing that works. So I just see it as like you trying to elevate your game. Yeah. Maybe to fit some more confidence. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, confidence and confidence and execution.
Right.
Maybe that just means that it's confidence. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I would love to. It'd be nice to have a singing voice that I'm like proud of.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think in working as a executive producer and producer on your first project, which is now only available on CD.
Yeah, true. And there's only like 4 of them left.
Oh wow, limited edition,
super limited.
You wrote the hook for the song "Really Mean," which I remember you didn't feel comfortable with, so we passed that to Drew Brown,
which was a good move.
Yeah, but what it shows me is you have sensibilities there in terms of songwriting. Actually, I didn't know until you told the story about the church that you played bass as well.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I you know what? I used to be in a band before I was Mark Danger. I was the bassist and, ironically, lead vocalist of a band that I had with some friends. So,
what was the band called?
We were called The Chips.
The Chips.
The Chips.
I love it. And what kind of music did you play?
Man, it was a gong show of. I say that fondly. There was like when I started rapping. Actually, I tried to sneak some like hip hop bars into it, some like rock stuff, pop, dancey, kind of just anything. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. There were costumes and costume changes and all kinds of stuff. Confetti.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Confetti.
Yeah. It was a whole thing.
How old were you?
How old was I? So that started during my undergrad. So I would have been maybe we formed when I was 18, something like that.
That's amazing.
Yeah. The Chips.
The Chips.
Tell you stories.
Do you have like a highlight gig from the Chips?
So I have one that stands out in my memory because it was at Scene Fest, I believe, in St. Catharines, which doesn't happen anymore. I think Scene Fest is done. But we were playing. It was like past midnight at some bar, like downtown St. Catharines, and we had this kind of like we were going to end our set with this sort of marchy pomp kind of song, and the idea was it was a bad idea. We were going to throw confetti. So just to give like a bit of visual context, our guitarist is wearing a shark costume that he made himself at the time.
Gosh.
And so I just like cut up a whole bunch of little bits of paper and we threw them, and it turns out that the floor was sticky. So we had to like basically after our set, while like the drunk bartender is, cussing at us for holding things up, basically spend like 15 minutes awkwardly scraping all our confetti off the floor. Anyways,
in the shark costume?
He may have removed the shark costume at that point. But yeah, that gig definitely stands out. I don't know if highlight is there. It was a highlight. Let's call it a highlight.
Hey man, that's the first thing that came to mind.
Yeah, hindsight highlight.
Yeah, I didn't spend too much time in pubs as a teenager, so I wouldn't know about sticky floors either. But
yeah, no, how would I know that the floor was sticky until you throw a bunch of torn up paper on it?
Yeah. I like the effort that you went to make the confetti.
It was a considerable effort. I'm sure there was an easier way, but perhaps even just purchasing confetti. I'm sure you can buy it from somewhere.
I'm sure you can too.
Yeah. Oh well, we were on a budget.
On a budget. Not Mark. He goes all out.
That's right. Okay,
so I made a run at producing Chasing Clouds, and I'm a rhythm section guy. Like I can play bass and drums.
Yeah.
So I play by ear, so I can't always like get chords and that kind of stuff. But my family is very gracious, and I try really hard when I'm working on songs, demos, beats, anything. I'm playing it in the house. I need to play it around. So I could sit around with my headphones on all day, or I could play it in open air, and people have to listen to it. So in the kitchen, like washing dishes or cooking or something, I'm playing this demo and just trying to hear what I want to do next with it. And we have this kick drum, and and just your vocals, you know, da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. And I'm just vibing like I would with any song I'm listening to.
Yeah.
And my wife comes in and says, "Who's this playing?" I said, "Oh, it's Mark Durksen. I'm trying to do this remix for him." And she's listening, you know, da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. And she says, "Is Mark trying to do a musical?" And I paused and I said, "Oh my gosh, this sounds like a musical."
Yeah.
This is someone call Lin-Manuel Miranda quick. We've got his this next piece. And I said, "No, he's not," but I'm already laughing.
Yeah.
And my wife calls my oldest daughter, who totally loves musicals. It's like, "Hey, Corey, Mark Durksen accidentally made a musical," which like causes her to run into the kitchen from where she is, because A, she loves your music, and B, she loves musicals.
Yeah.
And is like totally hooked on this song now. And my older two kids, when we're driving in the car, they want to hear it, and they suffer a lot from listening to demos. And they're like, "Is this song actually released?" I'm like, "No, it's not."
Yeah.
This is, you know, I love being in the music business just to hear people's demos. That's basically why I'm there.
Yeah.
And so now I'm sort of rolling through my mind of like, what would a Mark Durksen musical sound like?
I don't know, but I can tell you it would definitely have shark costumes and confetti.
Yes,
yeah.
It absolutely would and should. So maybe we should get working on that.
Yeah, man. You're like working on a play. Maybe your next piece could be a musical.
It's true, yeah. Once I get my taste for theater, like, you know, I'd like to do a one-person play in 2020, and then I'll start to incorporate more people in and see if we can develop this thing out.
It's the next step.
Amazing. All right. My guest has been Mark Durksen. Mark, where can people find you online?
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. I'm Mark Durksen on all those platforms. Lucky enough to be the only guy on the internet with that name right now. So MarkDurksen.
Fantastic. And I asked people this as well. Your creative output in 2020. What are you hoping to do? What are you working on?
So right now I'm trying to wrap up a mixtape called Mark Tape, and hoping to get that done in a few days of this recording, or a few weeks rather. And after that, I mean, we'll see what's coming. Still hoping to figure out something with Chasing Clouds and a few more songs that are sort of around the theme of dreams and dream chasing and that kind of thing. So we'll see what comes out. But right now, Mark Tape is what's in the pipe.
Awesome. We will be on the lookout for it. Mark, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much, John. It's been a pleasure.
Peace.
Does anyone know how long this show is going? It's 2 a.m. and man, I gotta work tomorrow morning. I'm still going for it. It's way past my bedtime.
See, I'm a 10:30 kind of guy. 11 if I'm feeling edgy on a Friday night. But shows go so late today, I'd be like 3 on a weekday. That's some other kind of time. Is it a late night or an early morning? Shouts to those out blurring that defining line. No, we're not nocturnal, we're not gerbils or vampires. I am tired, but also kind of fine. See, it's an opportunity to rock it loose and free and be all that you can be. No one watching you scoffing, it's too dark to see anything. Just be careful when you're walking through the streets, okay? And I know I'm taking a risk. It ain't cover charge when I say I'm paying for this. Tomorrow when I wake it'll hit. Until then I'll take a stand and I'm raising a fist. I'm out past my bedtime. What you know about me? Feeling so free. I'm out past my bedtime. Keep it going, no sleep. It ain't time to leave. I'm out past my bedtime. What you know about me? Feeling so free. I'm out past my bedtime. Keep it going, no sleep. It ain't time to leave.
Yeah, see, I step into the spot looking stupid fresh and feeling good after putting all the use to rest. 5 kids to connect with and then a night drive. When I arrive, man, I better get a high five. Better yet, can I get a set? Blow off some steam and a chance to connect. Don't need to headline. You heard me, Doc. I'll be blessed if I can get an early slot, because around my way, the kids don't play. They wake early and they torture me. They say pitter patter is the sweetest sound. I'd feel better if they were sleeping sound. Yeah, your boy goes hard until the day's end. So why would I rap into the AM? Feeling this vibe makes me a new kid. That's how much I love music.
I'm out past my bedtime. What What you know about me? Feeling so free. I'm out past my bedtime. Keep it going, no sleep. It ain't time to leave. I'm out past my bedtime. What you know about me? Feeling so free. I'm out past my bedtime. Keep it going, no sleep. It ain't time to leave. Now everybody say on and on till the break of dawn. On and on till the break of dawn. Say on and on till the break of dawn. On and on till the break of dawn. We say on and on till the break of dawn. On and on till the break of dawn. It goes on and on and on and... Oh, excuse me if I break to yawn. It's bedtime. Psych! Peter for the late night fill. Fast like food, how I chase my thrills. I know you rate my skills. White man dancing, I shake like milk. So get up and do what you like, or slouch in the back with a brew. It's alright, everybody in the room is your crew for the night, cause we're all a little loony to ride this out past our bedtime. What you know about me? Feeling so free. I'm out past my bedtime. Keep it going, no sleep. It ain't time to leave. I'm out past my bedtime. What you know about me? Feeling so free. I'm out past my bedtime. Keep it going, no sleep. It ain't time to leave. No, no, no. Yo, we're going in tonight. Staying up all the way. Bartender, make me a Shirley Temple. We're doing this right. Yo, shout out to everyone staying up late. These rap shows. Waking up tomorrow morning.
Thank you so much for listening to the Jon Corbin Podcast. Please let me know what you think of the episode by connecting with me on social media at Jon Corbin Music, JonCorbin. Find out more information about my creative work at JonCorbinMusic.com. This episode was edited by Tanya for Smart Creations and supported by people like you at Patreon.com/Jon Corbin. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you again soon.